Have you ever thought about living on Flathead Lake? In this video, we'll give you a full tour of Flathead Lake and all the surrounding areas and towns and show you what the houses are going for in each of the areas. So Flathead Lake is a huge lake, and it's the largest natural lake west of the Mississippi River, and it is about 30 miles from north to south long, and at this point here it's about 15 miles wide, so it's a big lake, but there's not a ton of towns around it, and we're going to take a tour all the way around the lake, but I just wanted to point out when you come down from Bigfork and hit Woods Bay, that's kind of the last town until you get all the way down here to Polson, and that's about a 20-mile stretch. So this whole part of the lake here, there's no towns on it. There are homes, but there are no towns. So anyway, let's start in Lakeside. We'll work our way around the lake this direction. So let's take a look. So the first town we're going to check out is Lakeside. And as you come down the hill on Highway 93, we're headed south right here. You'll notice the big marina to the left, and there's a couple restaurants right here, and there's that's also home to the Far West. If you ever want to do a boat tour of Flathead Lake, it docks right here during the summer. And as you continue in through town, you'll see there's a grocery store, there's some convenience stores, there's a couple bars. There's also a big condo complex on the left here as well. And we'll get to a point here in a moment where we'll turn left and we'll go to what's called Volunteer Park. And they just built this a couple years ago, but it's a great park, and Lakeside's a nice town. There's a grocery store, hardware store, and like I said, restaurants, and this park right here. And the population of Lakeside is about 2,300 people right now. And as you can see from this park, you're looking west, or you're looking east out at the Swan Mountains on the other side of the lake, and it's just spectacular views. And there's some great homes that are located all the way up and down the shore here in Lakeside. So last year in Lakeside, there were 21 homes sold, and they ranged from 600,000 up to 6,950,000. And the first house that sold for 600,000 was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house that had 98 feet of lake frontage and was just over 1,000 square feet in size. And the second house that sold for 6,950,000 was actually a 6-bedroom, 7-bathroom house that had 435 feet of lake frontage. It was a 9,000 square foot house, and it sat on 3.5 acres. So the next town we'll take a look at is Summers, and this is on the northwest corner of the lake, and it's a little tiny town. The population right now is probably about 1,100 people. It's got this little downtown here. The Summers Bay Cafe is very well known. It's some good food there. Then you got the hardware store, and this building also used to be a restaurant. It is no longer. I'm not sure what's in there now. And then right around here to the right, you have the famous Dell's Bar that everybody knows about that goes down to Summers. They have a little miniature golf course in the back. And then the fire hall sits behind it. And there's also a post office just on the back side of it. One of the things I wanted to tell you about, in the early spring, up until about the end of May, the lake, Flathead Lake, is very low. It's controlled by a dam down in Polson. So if you're used to, being from the Midwest or somewhere where the lakes don't fluctuate very much, this might be a big change for you. Like I said, this time of year, these docks are way up in the air, and there's no way you could park a boat here. But something to keep in mind if you're looking to buy on Flathead Lake. The reason they do this, of course, is to catch all of the snow melt from the surrounding mountains, so the lakes in the area are always quite low in the spring, and it just gives them room to fill up with all the snow melt from the previous winter. So the homes that sold in Summers the past year ranged in price. There were 8 sales, and they ranged in price from $747,500 up to $1,730,000. The first one for $700,000 was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath manufactured home on 215 feet of lake frontage, 1,648 square foot house on a half-acre lot. And the $1.7 million house was a 5-bedroom, 6-bathroom house, 105 feet of frontage, 4,240 square feet on just under 1 acre. So that brings us over to the northeast corner of the lake, which is Bigfork, Montana. And Bigfork is a cool little town. It has the Swan River dumps into the Flathead Lake right here. Comes through town. There's actually a whitewater festival on that river. They call it the Wild Mile, that happens at the beginning of every summer. And the little downtown area is just kind of a tourist haven. They got great restaurants here, a lot of great stores, and it's just a fun little town to walk around in. And it's also known for, on 4th of July, normal years, if we're not having a pandemic, the 4th of July parade that goes right through the middle of Bigfork is one of the biggest parades in Montana and one of the most popular parades in the Flathead Valley. So if you're up here, you should check that out. But again, most people have heard of Bigfork. There's also Wayfarers Park, which is right off the south end of town. And then right across the street from Wayfarers Park is where the place where everybody likes to eat in the summer, called Burger Town. There's also a high school and elementary school here in Bigfork. And Bigfork is also home to Eagle Bend Golf Club, which is a 27-hole golf course and very nice area just on the other side of downtown. And as we come through the end of the downtown area here, we're about to cross the old steel bridge, and that is the Swan River that eventually goes into Flathead Lake. And like I said, down to the left a little ways, they call it the Wild Mile, and that's where they have the Whitewater Festival every year. So let's take a look at the home sales that we've had in Bigfork over the past year. So the prices in Bigfork have ranged from $504,350 all the way up to $4,400,000 for a house. And these are all houses that are on the lake. The first house that was $500,000 was 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 160 feet of frontage, 644 square foot house on just under an acre. And the big house was 5 bedroom, 6 bathroom, 399 feet of frontage, 6,200 square foot house that sat on 5 acres. So as you start heading south along the lake, you'll come to the last little town on the north end called Woods Bay. There's a convenience store. Mountain Lake Lodge is a nice place, restaurant in there. And then you have a little further down, you have another couple restaurants called you have the Sitting Duck and the Raven, which are on the lakeside. And there's decks where you can sit out right on the lake. And on the other side of the street, there's a place called the Montana Bonfire, which is also a good spot. But this side of the lake, once you get halfway down the lake, it turns into the Flathead Reservation, or it's part of the Flathead Reservation. And so they're the ones that control the dam, and they're the ones that control the level of the water in the lake, what I talked about earlier with it going way down. And like I said, they're controlling it for the runoff every spring. But the next few towns we'll go through are all part of the reservation. And one thing you also need to know as you head down the south end of the lake is the prices that I gave you from Bigfork. The prices go all the way down almost to Polson, and then the prices I'll give you here in Polson kind of pick up where Bigfork leaves off, and then they kind of go around and start heading north up that side of the lake. So the view you got a minute ago, that was coming north on Highway 93, and that's the first view you get when you're coming north of Flathead Lake, and it's gorgeous. You look all the way down the lake. This view here is actually coming south on 93 from the other side of the lake, and as you can see the Mission Mountains, and the little town of Polson is down below on the lake. And it's just, again, this is just another spectacular view that you get on a clear day. And Polson has a population of about 5,200, and it sits right on the south end of the lake, and it's the biggest town by far that's on the lake. It has a big hospital there. It also has a 27-hole golf course, hotels. There's a big casino resort right in town. So you have everything you need in Polson. In fact, it kind of is the main town for the Mission Valley. It's at the north end of the Mission Valley. There's a little main street here that we'll go past in a second where the stoplight is. And then this whole strip just has fast food restaurants. There's bars, there's regular restaurants, more hotels. That casino resort I told you about is also located along this road here. And again, this is Highway 93, and we're actually heading east, but as far as Highway 93 goes, this would be going south eventually. It veers off and you head down towards Missoula from this point. So let's take a look at the real estate sales over the past year in Polson. These are the homes that sold that were on the lake. They range from a price of $465,000 all the way up to $5.6 million. And the smaller house was a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house with 184 feet of lake frontage. It was only 854 square feet. It was an old cabin, and it was on 3.9 acres. And the big house was 5 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, 330 feet of lake frontage, 9,410 square foot house, which is huge, and it sat on 6.3 acres. So heading north from Polson back up towards Lakeside, you go through 4 tiny, tiny little towns. The first one is called Big Arm, and there's really no stores or anything, so there's just some campgrounds, a place to put your boat in. There is a state park right in this area as well, Big Arm State Park. This is the little town of Elmo, and once again, not a lot here. There's a few houses, no real stores of any kind. It does sit right on the lake, and we're still part of the reservation here. And the next little town past Elmo is called Dayton, and Dayton is probably the biggest of all these little towns. I didn't go through the actual quote downtown of Dayton on this video, but there is a marina in Dayton, a pretty good sized marina. And the other thing about Dayton is it's kind of the gateway to Wild Horse Island. And Wild Horse Island is, you can get to it, from Dayton or obviously from anywhere on the lake. Dayton's the closest put in to go out there, but Wild Horse Island, you can see it in this picture right here. It's out in the lake. It's quite a big, it's pretty big island. There are actually wild horses that live out there, and there are actually some homes and cabins on that island. Here's a view of the whole thing from the shore, and we've gone out there before from Dayton, and it's a 10-minute boat ride to get out there. And then you come to the little town of Rollins, and you should always stop. There's a place called M&S Meats. They have really good beef jerky right there, and kind of good place to stop on your way around Flathead Lake. But as you can see, Rollins is basically a gas station and convenience store, and that's pretty much it. So let's take a look at the prices for the west side of the lake. I kind of lumped them all together since the towns are so small here. The prices on this side started at $449,500 and went all the way up to $4,100,000. And the small one was sold in the town of Dayton. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath cabin with 200 feet of lake frontage, 1,700 square foot house, and it was on 2 acres. And the big one was in Rollins, and it actually had an island on it, or that came with it. It was 4-bedroom, 4-bath, 870 feet of frontage, 5,800 square foot house, and it was on 2.4 acres. So that takes us around the entire length of Flathead Lake.
Thank you for watching our video. Please call, text, or email for more information. And don't forget to watch our other videos about Montana.